Hey guys, and today we are going to be doing a full review on the 2017 Fiat 500 in the Pop trim. Now before I get this review rolling, I would like to thank Rick Case Fiat in Weston, Florida for allowing me to review this vehicle for you guys. And remember that all of Drive and BeDriven's reviews are 100% honest and 0% biased. So let's get started. When Fiat decided to return to the United States after a total of 27 years of absence, Fiat knew they had to hit hard. So in 2012, Fiat introduced the Fiat 500 as their comeback vehicle, and it left quite a few people puzzled. Rather than Fiat wanting to hit a very competitive market such as the compact sedan or compact utility vehicle segment, they went for a much more different approach. They chose the subcompact class and wanted to bring all of their Italian spunk with them. So let's see if the 2017 Fiat 500 can still hold its own after being in this same generation for over 5 years. So looking at the front end of the Fiat 500, you're going to see that you have these very round 500 headlights right here. So this is very iconic to the original Fiat 500. Now below there you have your turn signal indicators right here. These are halogen turn signal indicators. And then above that you have your projector beam, high and low beam halogen projector beam headlights right there. And then right over here you have your very large and central Fiat logo right here with a nice red background. And then you have this chrome accent that is on both sides of the Fiat logo, and it pretty much looks like a mustache. So it has a really nice Italian spunk to the front end. Now coming below there, you do have a air cooler area right here. So this is where your air will go inside. And then right down here, you have a nice bumper cutout right here that adds to the overall classiness of the front end of the Fiat 500. Now, looking at the side profile of the Fiat 500, you're going to notice that it has quite a short hood here. Now, this vehicle is extremely small. It's in the subcompact segment, so you are going to notice that it does have a very short hood. Now coming along the side of the vehicle, you're going to see that it has a fairly rapid incline right there, and then it has a pretty subtle roofline drop right there, so you're going to get a pretty good amount of headroom in the front seats as well as in the rear seats. It's actually a little more spacious than you might expect, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now coming over here, you do have your 15-inch alloy rims, and these are standard on all Fiat 500s. A 16-inch rim is available on slightly higher trims if you do want to get that. Now coming to the rear end design of the Fiat 500, you're going to notice it's very similar and very consistent from the front end design of the Fiat 500. So right here you have these rectangular tail lights right here. These are halogen tail lights with your halogen indicators and your halogen reverse lights right there. And then below that you have this very round and bubbly rear bumper. And then coming above that, you do have your very large Fiat logo in the rear as well. And then below that, they put your Fiat logo inside of the chrome handle to open up your trunk. And you do get a single chrome tipped exhaust right down here on the left side. They do not give you dual exhaust tips, but if you do want a much more sporty looking vehicle, you can option for the Fiat 500 Abarth. So to open up the hood of the Fiat 500, you just come to the front door here, open it up, and then right here you just pull and it will unlock your hood. And right above the Fiat logo, slightly to the left, you just pull to the right and you lift it right on up. Now you do need a hood prop for this engine, so I'll catch you right back. So under the hood of the Fiat 500, you have 3 available engine options for 2017. You have a 1.4 liter inline 4-cylinder engine, which is only found on the pop and lounge trims. Now the other 2 available engines is a 1.4 liter inline 4-cylinder engine, so pretty much this engine right here, but it's turbocharged, and that's only found on the Abarth trim, and that's pretty much the sportier trim of this vehicle. And then there's also the 500e, which is an EV, an electric vehicle, and that comes with an electric motor. But we're going to talk about those other 2 engine options in a different review, because this review is only going to be covering the Fiat 500 Pop. You do have a 1.4 liter inline 4-cylinder engine on this trim right here, and it produces 101 horsepower at a pretty late 6,500 RPM and 98 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM. Now that may sound like a little bit of power, but do keep in mind that this vehicle is below 2,500 pounds. And for comparison, the Toyota Camry, the #1 selling vehicle in the United States, is 3,500 pounds. So this vehicle is just about 1,000 pounds lighter than a Toyota Camry. Now, your fuel economy for this engine, if you option for the 5-speed manual transmission, is 31 miles per gallon in the city, 38 miles per gallon in the highway, and 34 miles per gallon combined. And then if you option for the 6-speed automatic transmission, you will get 27 miles per gallon in the city, 33 miles per gallon in the highway, and 29 miles per gallon combined. So overall, the Fiat 500 is pretty fuel efficient. All right, so now let's check out the front seats of the Fiat 500. All right, so the Fiat 500 does not come with any smart key access systems on this vehicle, but to open up the door, you just put your hand right on behind here and open it right on up. So looking at your door panel materials here, you are going to see that this is all hard touch plastics above right here, and as well as in here, this is all hard touch plastics. But Fiat does give you a slightly padded armrest here, but it does have a slight scratchy material to it, but at least they do give it a nice cloth insert, because not that many vehicles in this price range even give you a cloth insert there. Now below there, it's also hard touch plastic, and you do have a nice cubby down here so you could put anything in there that you may need to. Now over here is where your speaker system is located. Now if you get higher trims of the Fiat 500, you can get a Beats audio system. So let's hop on inside of the Fiat 500. And you don't really have to duck your head at all, because the roofline in this vehicle is pretty good. So let's close up the door. And it has a pretty solid sound to it. I'm actually surprised as to how solid it sounds. So sitting inside of the Fiat 500, the seats are a little on the firm side. I mean, they're not entirely firm, but they do not have a very plush feel to them. Now, they are definitely on the firm side without a doubt. Now, you do have nice bolstering on the side here, so it does hold you in place fairly well on the bottom as well as on the side. I mean, it's adequate for the class. Now, if they had this type of bolstering in a sports sedan, obviously I would not be as happy, but considering the class that it's in, these seats are fairly supportive. Now, like I said before, the seats are not extremely comfortable. They are slightly on the firm side, and your headrest is like a polyurethane type feel here, and it's like sort of like an injection molded plastic feel here. It does have a squishy feel to it, but when your head is resting on it, it is definitely on the firm side. But you do get this very interesting red stitching going all the way down the sides here, as well as 500 stitched right into the back of the seat. All right, so let's look at the key fob design of the Fiat 500. So right here, you have Fiat's key fob design. You have unlock, lock, and then you have your trunk button right here. And then if you turn that over, you have some texturing on the back. And this key is a switchblade-like key. So you just press the Fiat button and it switches right open. So to start up the vehicle, you just put the key inside of the ignition right here and you turn it. All right, So let's first talk about the instrument cluster gauge inside of the Fiat 500. So right here, you have your tachometer, and then on this side, you have your speedometer. So I actually really like this new layout design inside of the Fiat 500 because previously it was slightly confusing because I had the tachometer and then the speedometer. They were all like in one, but here it's a lot more easier to read. Now this is a LCD screen right here, so you can control that screen through these buttons right here. So that controls the dimming of the screen if you want it brighter, if you want it lighter. And then right here is your menu button. So you could press here and it takes you through different things inside of there. So it has trip B data, audio, repetition, buzzer volume, and it's just different things like that. All right, so coming over here, you do have your volume mute button right there. You also have your voice control button. So let's test out the voice control real quick. Tune to FM 97.3.
Tuning to 97.3 FM.
So you'll see that it will take you right to 97.3 FM. So coming over here, you do have your AC vents right here. So this is a round AC vent, so pretty much flowing with the overall design that Fiat is trying to go for, this very round design, similar to how your tachometer is very round, as well as your steering wheel has this very round look to it. Now your steering wheel is leather wrapped, and I actually really like this leather wrap feel. It does have some cross stitching going all the way above right there, and you do have your very large and central Fiat logo right there with some chrome, sort of like chrome accenting going around there. It's more like a matte silver accent, and then you have your Fiat logo right there. And coming onto this side, you have your trip computer controls right there. And overall, the steering wheel design of the Fiat 500 is fairly nice, and the steering wheel actually feels pretty good too. It's a little on the thin side, but it has a very nice feel to it. So coming over here, you do have Chrysler's Uconnect system. Now this is a 5-inch touchscreen, and it is standard on all of Fiat 500s. So right here you have your screen on and off button right there. Over here you have your settings. So you'll go through your different settings, and the touchscreen is very responsive. I really like Chrysler's Uconnect system. So you just press back right there, and actually you press X, sorry, and it'll take you back there. This is your mute button. You have your volume, tune. You have your volume controls as well as your tune controls. So I like how Fiat still gives you volume controls, since some other competitors aren't really giving you volume controls. Now, coming down here, you have your sport mode button right there. You have your hazards, and then right here is your rear window defroster. Now coming below here, you have a very easy to read AC control area right here. So right here is how cold you want the air to be, cold, warm. Right here is the speed that you want the air to blow on you. And then over here you have different circulations, in-car circulation, and then you could take it from outside. And then over here you have the different zones that you want the air to blow on you at. So I like how easy this is to read and use. Now below there you do have your window switch controls. So as opposed to Fiat putting your window switch controls over here, they do put your window switch controls right here. And your windows are auto down, but they are not auto up. So they are only auto down for the driver's side, and the passenger side is also auto down. So that's a pretty neat feature there. Now looking at your shifter design here, this is the automatic transmission of the Fiat 500. So you do get park, reverse, neutral, and drive, and then you have a manual shiftability mode right there. And this is the 6-speed automatic transmission that you get in the Fiat 500. So you do not get a reverse camera in the Fiat 500. So I would have liked Fiat to give you a reverse camera. But coming down here, you do have a 12-volt power outlet right there. Then over here you have an auxiliary port, as well as a USB port right here. And you do get two fairly large cup holders. And I like this design a lot more than the previous generation. The previous generation had a different 3-cup holder design. I do prefer this 2-cup holder design a lot more because you can actually hold 2 cups. Now coming down here, you do have a rubberized part texture right here, so you could rest whatever you want right there. Over here you do have your handbrake that is plastic. I would have liked it to be possibly a leather wrapped material, but they do give you your handbrake right there. Actually, I would have liked for it to actually be an electronic parking brake over here, and they could have gave you a center console area right there. Now coming over here, you do get an armrest for both your driver and your passenger, and these are adjustable and they are cloth inserted. So this cloth is very similar to what is found on the door panels, but the door panels is slightly more scratchy. I actually prefer the material that's here as opposed to what's on the doors. All right, so now let's check out the passenger side of the Fiat 500. All right, so let's open up the door on the passenger side of the Fiat 500. And your door panel design is very similar and pretty much identical as what you find on the driver's side. So let's close up the door and let me show you the door lock control feature. So to unlock the door, you keep it like this. To lock it, you push it in and you're going to see red. So when you see red, that means the door is locked. So to unlock it, you pull it back and then you push and open, and then you close it and push in to lock it. So coming over here, you do have a body color insert on the dashboard. So if you were to have a yellow Fiat 500, this would be yellow. If you would have a red one, this would be red, etc., etc. So up here, it is a hard touch plastic on the upper dashboard material, but do keep in mind that the vehicle that I am testing here is under $15,000 brand new. So what Fiat is giving here is actually a pretty good amount of car. So right here you do have your 500 logo embossed right here in a nice silver accent, and then over here you have your AC vent with a chrome accent going around it there. And let's open up your glove box. And your glove box is actually a pretty decent size considering the size of the vehicle. You also get a USB port inside of the glove box here. Now this is a hard touch plastic lining, but I do like how they didn't give you a bucket design, but it's rather like a cubby design as opposed to a bucket design. I feel like you could fit more things in a cubby design as opposed to a bucket design. Let's close that up. Now coming over here, I also wanted to show you that you do have a net here, so you could put your phone in there for the passenger. The driver's side does not get that net. I actually would have liked the driver's side to get that net as well. But I did want to show you up here, you do have a manual dimming mirror right here, as well as your lights up here. So you do have incandescent lights. You turn those on. And over here you do also have your mirrors for your visuals, so you could it slides open and it does have a light in there, so that is also pretty cool up there. So I did also want to talk about the visibility in the Fiat 500. So inside the Fiat 500, it does have actually pretty good visibility. Your A-pillar is fairly thin. It does get a little wide towards the bottom here, and you do have a nice sub-tweeter right there. But overall, the pillar is not terribly fat. Now coming to your B pillar right here, it is also fairly thin as well. And your C pillar is a little on the thick side, and looking out the back, it is a little narrow, but it's not terribly bad, especially considering how small this vehicle is. It's going to be pretty easy to maneuver around the city. All right, now I also wanted to show you the seat controls inside of the Fiat 500. So let me show you the seat controls. All right, so let's look at the seat controls on the Fiat 500. So immediately you're going to notice that you do not have your backrest controls right here. So you're gonna wonder, can you not adjust the back of the seats inside of the 500? You can, but Fiat gives you your seat back controls on the left side over here. And that is a really weird quirk inside of the Fiat 500. So that is something you are going to notice that is different inside of the Fiat 500. So coming over here, below here, you do have your forward and backwards seat adjustability there. But I would have liked Fiat to add some type of lumbar support, adjustable lumbar support inside of the seat back, and possibly some sort of thigh support inside of the seats. And your seats are not height adjustable inside of the passenger side, but your seats are height adjustable and move forward and backwards on the driver's side. So I believe it's a 6-way motion on the driver's side and a 4-way motion on the passenger side. All right, so to get into the back seats of the Fiat 500, you pull this lever right here and it will move your seats forward, and you can come down here and pull your seat forward like that. All right, so let's hop on into the back of the Fiat 500. And sitting in the back seats of the Fiat 500, it's not that tight at all. So your headroom is actually not as bad as I expected it to be. You probably have about an inch or so above your head. Now the headrests are positioned at a slightly strange area right there. They're sort of jabbing into the back of my neck, but they are not, it's actually not that tight in the back seat as you might expect. Now your armrest is hard touch plastics back here, but you do have a speaker back here, and your footroom under the passenger seat is fairly good as well. Since the seat does not have any height adjustability, you actually have a decent amount of space under the seats. Now if you were to fold back the rear seats back to the position that I was in, it will be pretty cramped in legroom, since I do have the seat adjusted pretty far up, and I have probably about 1.5 inches of room in between there. But you do get 2 decent sized cup holders back here, so you do get 4 cup holders inside of the Fiat 500, and that is very generous of Fiat. And you are going to notice one more thing: how close you are to the rear window. So this is where your head would be, and this is where the window is. So the window is just about 1/2 foot away from the back of your head, so that is also very interesting. Now you do get a fairly large window back here as well. All right, so now let's check out the cargo area of the Fiat 500. All right, so to open up the trunk of the Fiat 500, you just put your hand right under the Fiat 500 name right there, and you push and you open it right on up. So with the rear seats folded up, you have 9.5 cubic feet of space, which is actually not that bad. I was actually expecting a smaller trunk. And if you were to fold down the rear seats by just pushing right here and folding it down, you will get 30.1 cubic feet of space. Now back here, you do have a fairly nice carpeting material back here. They don't line it all in plastic, so I really like how Fiat sort of paid attention to that. Now below there, you do not have a spare tire below that floor. It is just a floor below there. But you do have a light on this side. You only get 1 light back here, so the cargo area should be fairly well lit up at nighttime. Since this trunk is fairly small, you really only need 1 light. So Fiat has lowered the price of the Fiat 500 by about $2,000 all across the Fiat 500 lineup. So Fiat also decided to drop the middle of the line easy trim. So let's first talk about the 2 trims available for the Fiat 500. So you have the base pop trim, which we are looking at right here. So the base price of this vehicle used to be $17,990, but now Fiat has lowered it all the way down to just about $14,995. So right here you can see that the base price of this vehicle is $14,995. And as tested, our vehicle is just under $16,000 because we do have a few options, such as the automatic transmission, which adds $995 there. All right, so let's also talk about what else is standard on this vehicle. So standard on this vehicle is 15-inch alloy wheels. You also get your standard 5-inch touchscreen, which I showed you before. That's Chrysler Uconnect touchscreen, which I really like how easy and intuitive the touchscreen is. You also get your leather-wrapped steering wheel and a 7-inch digital gauge cluster. So that digital gauge cluster that was in between the speedometer and the tachometer that I was showing you earlier is a pretty cool feature in the 500 as well. Now the length of the Fiat 500 is 139.6 inches, while the width is 64.1 inches. So the width of this vehicle is actually not that bad. So you actually can fit 2 people inside of the front seats without them feeling like they're almost touching each other. Now the height of this vehicle is 69.8 inches, and the wheelbase is 90.6 inches. So that is pretty much in between right here and right there. That's 90.6 inches. So now let's talk about the safety of the Fiat 500. So the Fiat 500 hasn't been tested by the IIHS for the 2017 model year, but for 2016, the Fiat 500 got a good in every rating except the small overlap crash where it got a poor rating. And by the federal government, or the NHTSA, it got a 4-star overall rating. Now the Fiat 500 does come standard with 7 airbags, so it does come with a driver's knee airbag. So that is a really good option there. Not that many vehicles really have more than 6 airbags, so Fiat does give you that 7th airbag. Now, the competition of the Fiat 500 is not so direct as it may seem. So the competitors can include the 2017 Mini Cooper hatchback 2-door, but it's not really a direct competitor because the Mini Cooper is more expensive than the Fiat 500, and it's much larger than the Fiat 500 as well. The Fiat 500 is just about 10 inches shorter than the Mini Cooper and about 4 inches narrower than the Mini Cooper. Now you could also possibly be cross-shopping this with the 2017 Smart for 2, which is just about in the same price range, slightly more expensive than the Fiat 500, but it only has 2 seats. So if you want a 4-seater that is fairly small, easy to get around the city, your only choice is really the Fiat 500. On the whole, the Fiat 500 is a pretty good choice if you are in the market for a small, fuel-efficient, and easy-to-maneuver subcompact hatchback. Not to mention its very stylish and personality-forward interior as well as exterior styling. The Fiat 500 is in a class of its own and may just meet all your needs. Well, that's it for this full review. Comment and tell me what you would like to see in future videos. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. This is Marcus, and thanks for watching Drive and Be Driven. Keep it positive, and I'll see you next time. You can become a Drive and Be Driven driver today. Just simply click the subscribe button and you will become a part of the Drive and Be Driven circle. Subscribing will allow you to stay up to date with the Drive and Be Driven YouTube channel. Thank you to all of my current Drive and Be Driven drivers for driving me towards my goals and dreams. Stay subscribed for more awesome videos like this one.